Welcome, and here we go again. And today on the channel, it's Friday the 3rd of April, and we are here today to celebrate the 15th anniversary, not 15th, 10th anniversary, sorry, of the 11th hour and Matt Smith's tenure and Steven Moffat's tenure as Doctor and showrunner, respectively. Now, tonight, from 7 p.m, fans around the world are gathering together for another watch along. The last one was Vincent and the Doctor on Monday to celebrate Vincent van Gogh's birthday, or what would have been Vincent van Gogh's birthday. And today, fans are celebrating that anniversary and trying to fill some time in that lockdown. It's going to be great. I think Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill, and Steven Moffat are all joining in. So that'll be a great event. And if you can join in, if you can spare some time from about 7 till 8, that would be brilliant because they're great events. So today I'll be taking a look at why that series is such a success. And personally, that series is one of my favourites of the modern series because it feels to me like very nostalgic in a way that series 1 is nostalgic. I think while there were other great series of the show, I think series 1 and 5 in particular have this really nostalgic feel about them. Also, it works well like series 1 of New Who. It worked well as a starter for the show. Like, you don't have to have watched the other stuff. Maybe it would be better if you watched the other stuff, but it's the perfect entry point into Doctor Who, Steven Moffat's era at the start. And it's just so fun. It's so enjoyable. It gets everything right about what Doctor Who is meant to be and the definitions of what Doctor Who is. And it's just so enjoyable as a series. And it's really a really solid run of episodes. There's not really anything unwatchable. I think the weakest episode is Victory of the Daleks. Even then, it's okay. You know, all of them are okay at worst. There's nothing terrible in that. And the best of the series is great. The best stuff in that. So, yeah, I think, first of all, Matt Smith's Doctor, who was introduced to our screens 15 years ago. I think, 10 years ago, sorry. Keep getting that wrong. I'm probably going to get it wrong again. Fans doubted that he'd be a good Doctor because he was very young. I think a lot of people loved David Tennant so much that they couldn't envision someone else in the part because Tennant had been there for quite a long time and that era had been the most popular era of Doctor Who potentially ever made. And when Matt Smith came along, people doubted that he'd be a good Doctor. But again, he was popular, he was successful, and he was great. He had this wit and childish nature to him that was great. And I think as the series went on, as series 5 went on and the rest of the series went on, his character became more complex. I think at first he was quite wacky in a great way, and then he developed a more darker side and a more nuanced side, and he's a great fit for the role, a very Troughton-esque role, a more modern take on the Troughton personality of the Doctor, with something new added in there as well. I think Karen Gillan works well as the companion, Amy Pond, really well. And again, a great entry point into the show because we see her reactions towards everything. And in this series, her and Matt Smith's chemistry is great. They're wonderful together and they have a real wit and humour. And yeah, they work so well together. Arthur Darvill as Rory is also great whenever he pops in, and he appeared a few times, and the whole arc of Rory fading from existence was quite strong. Alex Kingston as well was good whenever she popped up as River Song. She popped up in 2 stories this series, and a thoroughly enjoyable performance with a great mystery. That's what's great about it, because there's arcs from the previous series that are brought back in and referenced, especially for Steven Moffat's other stuff, as in the whole of Steven Moffat's era. But you don't have to have watched them to understand them. Steven Moffat's writing is also another strong point. His writing in the show in general and in Series 5 is so witty and sharp and brilliant, and his dialogue is so great, and he captures his characters so well. And I think he is one of the strongest writers of the show, if not the strongest in terms of a writer in general. I don't think he's as strong a showrunner as Russell T Davies in his vision for the show, but as a starting season, I think he did a really strong job, a really solid job of capturing what a first series and a first episode of an era needs to be. And his writing throughout the series, whenever he wrote a story, was great. And throughout his era, he was a great writer. Monsters, we had some great monsters, both old and new. We got to see the Weeping Angels back, who were great once again, who were in Blink and were very popular in that episode. And it was great that Steven Moffat chose to bring the Weeping Angels back. We had the Daleks pop up, and the Daleks didn't go down too well in this season. And I don't think Steven Moffat managed to capture the Daleks too well during his entire era. But it was good to see some villains pop up. I don't think his imaginative nature towards the Daleks and the Cybermen when they popped up in this series were particularly great, but it was interesting to see them back. We've got some solid new villains pop up throughout the series. The Dream Lord was great. I forgot to mention the Silurians who popped back. While I'm not a fan of their design, I think it was great to bring back the Silurians, and I think it's a really solid story by Chris Chibnall, and a lot of fun in that story. There's some great guest stars throughout the series. I'm not going to name them all, but there's a lot of great supportive characters and recurring characters. Most notably Tony Curran, who played Vincent Van Gogh. He was brilliant in the role, and Ian McNeice as well was great as Winston Churchill, and whoever played Bracewell was great, and there were some great cast members. Episode wise, I think the best episode is Vincent and the Doctor, because it's such a strong depiction of mental health and tackles some really great themes while hiding them under a sci-fi cover, and it's so emotional. The ending moments are just so beautifully executed with a wonderful song over it and lovely acting and brilliant story writing, and it's just a fantastic story. That's one of the best in the show's history, just because it's like a piece of art in itself, poetically. There's other great stories like Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, which is a great execution of the Weeping Angels, a more action-packed take on the Weeping Angels than Blink. Perhaps not as strong as Blink, but a really tense, exciting, gripping story, which is sort of like a Base Under Siege adventure, and it's a lot of fun. The 11th Hour is a great intro to the series. Of course, we're going to be watching that tonight, and it's something that I've appreciated more in recent times, and it works as a great episode in its own right. The season finale, Pandorica Opens Big Bang, works well at resolving all of the threads, including the great story arc, which I failed to mention, The Crack, which runs through the whole series and through the era as a whole. And it's got quite a complicated nature, but the Big Bang works really brilliantly at capturing the main four team in Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill, and Alex Kingston. The Lodger is a lot of fun. It's a really funny story with a strong performance from a strong chemistry between Matt Smith and James Corden. And Amy's Choice is a great story, a really unique story with a really interesting plot, a great villain, and some wonderful writing. From a writer that I believe has only wrote for the show once, which is quite a shame. So yeah, there's some great stuff in there. As I say, the story arc set up here, the Crack stuff is great, it runs through the era, and the Silence Will Fall is great and runs through the era, which is mentioned throughout. Both really intriguing arcs, brought up a couple of times, as well as the wedding arc and the Rory arc. That's that goes on here. Really wonderful character development for Amy and Rory and the 11th Doctor and River, and just it's a perfect first season. It's not a perfect season in particular, no season of New Who is, but it's a perfect introductory series to the Steven Moffat era of the show, and it's so thoroughly enjoyable and one of the best of New Who, in my personal opinion, and a lot of others' opinions. So please leave your thoughts of Series 5 down below. I'd love to read them. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for joining in each day if you've been tuning in. I'm here each day from 5. Tomorrow I'll probably be doing another Series 12 video, probably about the Cyberman and what my thoughts were on that. And then I'll be doing one more Series 12 video on Sunday, I think, and then I don't think I'm going to try to steer away from that. Maybe do some conversations on other topics rather than Doctor Who, as well as some other stuff about Doctor Who. So I'm going to round off Series 12 this weekend. So please tune in tomorrow from 5. I'll try and get a video out for 5. If not, I'll get one out at some point during the day. So thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Please comment below. And stay safe, guys.